hopes and your aspirations for adulting with Joyce Pring and your career as a whole? Gusto ko lang maging si Chris Uy. Di ba tayong lahat? Don't we all just want to be Chris Uy? On a personal level, grabe yung adjustment na pinagdaanan ko. Wala na! Pinaka-significant moments when I pushed out an 8-pound baby girl named Agnes Eleanor Trevino. Welcome to Adulting with Joyce Pring. Watch the full video of this episode on my channel, www.youtube.com/JoycePringTV. And if you want to level up your adulting game, check out joycepring.com/collections for my digital products and courses. What's up, you guys, and welcome to another episode of Adulting with Joyce Pring. I cannot believe that it is already the end of 2023, and I'm doing yet another Spotify Wrapped episode. This episode will be all about looking back on 2023, how it went, and looking forward to what we have in store for 2024. Initial expectations or goals for 2023, and how did they align with the reality of the year? Honestly, you guys, I had very low expectations this year kasi nga, I was pregnant with my second and I was just thinking, okay, I'm gonna give birth first quarter of the year. I gave birth in April and I was like, this is going to be a slow year for me because it always is a slow year every time that I give birth. Well, every time. Second time pa lang naman to. So with Eliam, it was the same thing. I really slowed down after I gave birth and I had the same expectations this year. It aligned, but also at the same time, I feel like it exceeded my expectations because I was able to do more than what I had expected. So I was able to travel a little bit more. I was able to continuously produce, record, and put out the podcast. And I even got to do a couple of on-ground events, which was not in my bingo card for this year. So it was really, really exciting. I would say I had a fantastic 2023, especially because we became a family of 4. And on a personal level, grabe yung adjustment na pinagdaanan ko. It was even more an adjustment for me because going from 1 baby to 2 babies, while at the same time trying to juggle everything else that I'm doing was crazy. And it was also very challenging. But I'm very proud of myself, of my entire team. Good job, guys, that you're able to pull through almost unscathed. Wala na. Pinaka-significant moments. What were some of the most significant moments? When I pushed out an 8-pound baby girl named Agnes Eleanor Trevino. I think becoming a mom of 2 will have to top my list of highlights this 2023. Also going on my first marriage retreat with my husband. Also going out of the country for the first time with 2 kids. A 2-year-old, and then at that time a 3-month-old. That will have to top my list. And also, I got to do long road trips for the first time in a really long time, in years, maybe since the pandemic started. And I really just pushed myself out of my comfort zone this 2023 in that sense. You know, I knew it was going to be difficult to travel with little ones. I knew it was going to be difficult to start being myself again. So, you know, I started doing Pilates again. I started recording in studio again. I started doing shoots again. And there was a part of me that always felt like I don't want to do that anymore because I knew it was going to be difficult. But I was able to do it this year. And I'm actually really happy for it. It only happened because, honestly, one of my ninangs called me and she was like, kailangan mo lumabas ng bahay. Hindi ka pwedeng laging nasa bahay lang. Pinagalitan niya ako kasi ayoko lumabas ng bahay. I was just in my newborn cocoon and I didn't want to get out. But when she said that to me and I actually did it, I realized how much I missed it. So I guess a reminder for everyone to still go out of their comfort zones, especially when they don't feel like it. When you received your Spotify Wrapped results, what were your initial thoughts and reactions? I counted how many weeks there are in 1 year. Not counted, I Googled. And I was like, we were in the top charts for majority of the year. Yay! It baffles me, and I'm so, so grateful that even after 5 years, Adulting with Joyce Pring still hits the top charts. It's not the number 1 podcast in the Philippines, but it is number 1 in our hearts. Wow! No, but I'm really, really grateful because ang top ko last year was number 1. But this year, number 2 pala. Number 2 ang Adulting with Joyce Pring. But this year, ang pinaka-top ko is number 7. But I'm really so grateful and baffled that we were able to achieve that as a team. Kasi, grabe yung buhay ng newborn life. So imagine, even while I was pregnant, when I had just given birth, and even as I was in the newborn phase, we were still able to create valuable content. And that was because we worked weeks on end to bank episodes and to keep creating and telling stories that we felt like our community could benefit from. And we had so many messages of encouragement, of thanks from you guys this year. And I was so happy about it. And we also reached 10 million plays this year. So 10 million plays of the podcast. That is insane. Every time I look at the numbers on my podcast, on this podcast, I'm just so grateful to God. I'm so grateful to our community. And of course, to my amazing team, because it would not be possible without them and without you guys. So that was just my initial reaction. I was just so amazed that it happened. And we grew our followers. I think it grew by 43% this year. Something like that. And I had more Gen Z. Siyempre kami mga Gen Z. Dumami kami this year. May mga nagpapapicture na sa akin ng mga 12 years old. I was like, totoo. May nasa IKEA ako nagpapicture sa akin mga 12 years old. Pero feeling ko 14 siya or 17 or something like that. So, I feel grateful. Okay, this Christmas, let's amplify the spirit of giving. Share the priceless gift of love by sponsoring a child through World Vision. As we gather with our loved ones, let's extend the love to those in need. We invite you to be the hope these children need. By doing so, you're not just offering financial support, you're sharing them the love and care they all deserve. In a world of challenges, your act of kindness can be the hope they need to move forward. We understand that life's responsibilities can be overwhelming, but sometimes it only takes a small gesture to make a big impact. And you are not alone in this. Together, we can give them a brighter future. This season, let's go beyond the traditional festivities and embrace the true spirit of giving. Visit worldvision.org.ph to learn how you can sponsor a child this Christmas. Let's make this Christmas unforgettable for a child in need and share the priceless gift of love. So now, looking forward to 2024, what are your overall expectations for the upcoming year 2024? Sana mag-trend ulit tayo. Gusto mo talaga natin? Expectations for 2024. Tawang-tawa yung team ko in the background. Expectations for 2024 is just more episodes that we will be shooting, hopefully in the studio. Because if I don't get pregnant, hindi natin sure. If I don't get pregnant, hopefully we get to do more episodes that we shoot in the studio, because we have a lot of cool guests lined up. But it's always like, hindi sila abot ng Cavite, guys. So, kailangan natin mag-studio shoot. Yun lang yung expectation ko. Sana mas madami pa akong ma-meet ng mga tao through the podcast. And mas marami pa tayong matulungan ng mga listeners through the podcast because of the conversations that we have. And also, I would like to expect more questions coming from our community. In 2023, because we had a lot of interesting topics that popped up and we wanted to talk about, we weren't really able to answer a lot of our community questions. So, we want to bring back our mailbag and our Ask Adulting with Joyce Spring series here on the podcast, which we'll probably do very, very soon. Okay. What are your hopes and your aspirations for Adulting with Joyce Spring and your career as a whole? Gusto ko lang maging si Chris, uy. Di ba tayong lahat? Don't we all just want to be Chris, uy? No, for me, my hopes or my aspiration for Adulting with Joyce Spring is very simple. Honestly, I can honestly say with my whole heart that I don't really aspire to be number one anymore, because I honestly have no energy for it. Like, I know it takes a lot to be number one. I've been in that spot, and it takes a lot of your time, your energy, your focus. And right now, where God is calling me is with my family, with my children. So that's my number one priority. So my aspiration for Adulting with Joyce Spring really is for our community to grow even more. I know that it's great to be the number one podcast. It must be wonderful to be as beautiful and successful as Chris Uy. But as Joyce Spring Trevino, my only aspiration is for my community in the podcast in Adulting with Joyce Spring to really grow, to come to know Jesus, to have difficult conversations, maybe disagree with one another, and still have beautiful, respectful, insightful discourse. And for the podcast to be a place where people can think and talk freely without being afraid of getting canceled, being bullied, or being ostracized by those who don't agree with them. So my aspiration really is only that, a place and a space for people to be able to respectfully discuss ideas, worldviews, and even just experiences without feeling like they need to be a certain type or a certain perspective for them to be respected or loved. So that's my aspiration for 2024. And I feel like that's always been my aspiration for the podcast. And it's something that we were able to really focus on, especially with our Common Ground episodes. So hopefully we get to do more Common Ground episodes this year. If you guys missed that, that's the episodes, the series that we did where we would take two very different ideas and two very different guests and talk about it. And not in a debate way, pero more of like a discourse lang talaga where we could exchange our stories. So, there. So, to our AWJP fam, to everybody who watches and listens to Adulting with Joyce Spring, thank you so much for being a part of our community. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your ideas. Thank you for constantly being our support system and for just being here. After 5 years, we still get amazing messages from old and new listeners of the podcast. We really appreciate you. And we hope that this 2023, whether you had a good year or a bad year, you get to look at it with a sense of reflection and a sense of gratefulness, and that you bring that gratefulness and reflection into 2024 and have an even better year ahead. Maraming salamat for joining me this 2023, and I hope to see you again on the next year. I hope this episode had offered some insights and inspiration from my own experiences in retrospection and goal setting. And hopefully we'll see you on the next few episodes of Adulting with Joyce Spring. That's it, you guys. Paalam!
That's it for this episode of Adulting with Joyce Spring. If you liked this podcast, please don't forget to use the hashtag Adulting with Joyce Spring and also check out www.joyspring.com for the show notes and tag me on social media with you know it at Joyce Spring. I'll talk to you guys again soon. Paalam!